Muslims often quote one verse to make a simple argument. Jesus said, "The Father is greater than I." So the conclusion is, Jesus is not God. At first glance, that sounds convincing, but the real question is, what did Jesus actually mean? This is one of the most common arguments in Islamic apologetics. Jesus himself said the Father is greater than him. So the logic goes, God cannot have someone greater than him. Jesus says the Father is greater. Therefore, Jesus is not God. But that argument depends entirely on one assumption, that greater means greater in nature. Is that actually what the text is saying? Let's read the full statement. You heard me say, I am going away, and I am coming back to you. If you loved me, you would be glad that I am going to the Father, for the Father is greater than I. This is said in a specific moment tied to his departure. Jesus is talking about going to the Father. So this isn't a random statement. It's connected to his current situation. In the Gospel accounts, Jesus is not walking around in visible glory. He is hungry, tired, experiencing suffering, and obeying the Father. Why? Because he has taken on a human role. He is living in a condition of humility. For I have come down from heaven not to do my will, but to do the will of him who sent me. This is exactly how the early Christians understood it, who, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant. So Jesus is described as in very nature God, but choosing to take the position of a servant. That distinction is critical. Here's something important. Jesus himself uses the word greater in a way that clearly doesn't mean a different nature. A servant is not greater than his master. Both are still human. So in that context, greater refers to authority and role, not essence. Even historically, the term can refer to rank or position, not nature. Think about it. A king is greater than a servant in authority, but both are equally human. Now here's where the argument starts to break down. In the same Gospel of John, Jesus also says, I and the Father are one. Anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. And even more directly, all should honor the Son just as they honor the Father. So now you have both unity with God and submission to the Father. And this is the key point. If Jesus meant, I am not God, this would create serious tension with multiple statements in the same gospel. So, which is it? Is Jesus equal with the Father or less than the Father? The answer is both statements are true, but in different senses. He is equal in nature and subordinate in role during his earthly mission. This isn't a contradiction, it's a distinction. The argument only works if you assume greater means greater being. But that assumption is not in the text. It's being read into the text. And once you remove that assumption, the argument loses its force. So, yes, Jesus did say, the Father is greater than I. But the real question is, greater in what sense? Because when you read the full context and the rest of the gospel, the most consistent reading is this: greater in position, not greater in nature. If we're going to quote Jesus, we have to read him in context. Not isolate one line and ignore everything around it. Check the evidence. Read it in context. Then decide. If you're ready to learn, grow, and speak truth in love, join us, subscribe now. The conversation starts here.